you salty sailors, time to raise anchor and set sail for your best scrawny life. Arr!
All right, there's the fly. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Swing and a miss. Looks like a small pike in there. At least the smallmouth can aim. They got a small but fierce one underneath the tree there. Nice little scrapper. Fly a little bit too big to fit in his mouth. Got the autumn light shining down. The humidity's gone from the air. We got a crisp. It's got a crisp, clean feel to the air, and the fish are biting. They know winter's coming. They're putting on the feed bag. We got something here. We're gonna have to paddle away from the trees, drag this out to the middle of the river. What could it be? Looks like a pike, a little bigger than the one we missed earlier. Notice how calm it is, unconcerned about this thing in its mouth that's dragging it out to the middle of the river. No worries about that at all. But as soon as it's in the net, that's when it begins to fight. So I don't know why they do that, and I don't know if he bit a hole in the net right then, or just what, but he went through a hole in the net, and it was a marvel. I wound up actually landing the thing. But anyway, a nice little pike, all the same. And we do get a range of sizes. It's a good thing to see, a range of from big to medium to small of sizes in the river that indicates a healthy growing population, I would think. So here's an example of that very thing. We've got a small one here, but it's good to see. It's good to know that there are some younger fish in the river. All right, here we have and the same thing goes for the smallmouth. Here we have another little smallmouth. Although I shouldn't say little. He puts up a tremendous fight on the fly rod. A lot of fun in Iowa with that autumn light, that crisp air. A big old bend in the fly rod. It doesn't get a whole lot better than that here. All right, we've got a larger fish, it would appear. Unlikely seeming little pocket there off of that rocky outcrop, but there was a big fish in there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's a quality smallmouth. That is what it's all about. Well, that and the autumn light, the crisp air, the big bend in the fly rod, and those heavy bronze backs. That is what we're doing here. All right, a nice quality fish in the net at last. Look at that. That is what we're here for. We shall go ahead and certify a nice quality bronze back here. Doesn't get a whole lot better than that, not in Iowa. The algae bloom and everything is gone from the river. The water is clear and nice and cool. Looks like we've got a pike, another medium-sized pike, putting up a bit more of a fight than the last one, but again, relatively unconcerned about this thing that's just stuck in its mouth until it gets near the boat, and I was afraid to net it because that hole in the net. But well, we may just have to. Well, it looks like we're gonna try the old gar grab, and well, that didn't work, and so she's out with the net. As soon as it's in the net, it just goes nuts. We'll just hold the net there and just kind of let it work that out of its system. There we go. Finally, it's calmed down. All right, back. We're working up to the top of that little trough. So, but there was one other fish in there, and looks to be a large fish. Oh yeah, that's the largest pike we've seen so far today. Kind of a deeper trough running right along the shoreline where those rocks are. Held that larger fish. That would attract suckers and prey items like that. He was not wanting to leave the shadows, but we had to drag him out to the middle of the river. And there were eagles, and I also saw an osprey here too. A lot of suckers in the water, so those birds have a lot to eat. Now that's what we're here for: pike that are too big to fit in the net. That's what it's all about. That and the autumn light, the crisp air, the clean water, the big bend in the fly rod, and those gnarly, snarly pike. Now this one got all tangled up in the net. He bit in the net and twisted, and it took me a while to untangle him. So just to make sure that he's actually okay, and he thrashed around in the rocks and kind of beat himself up pretty bad, we're going to just kind of let this guy recover here a little bit. Just so he seems ready to go. Seems ready to go. Now, if he's swallowed a bunch of air, he'll begin to roll over on his belly, roll over on his back, and he'll float up to the surface and kind of begin to struggle and so forth. And if that happens, I'll hold him down in the water and kind of gently squeeze his belly and try to burp that air out of him. But it appears, and I sat there and watched him for several minutes, he appeared to be okay. Didn't show any sign of loss of equilibrium or anything, so apparently he didn't swallow a bunch of air. Now we've hooked another large fish right underneath this big root wad or big log jam, whatever it is.
He's going for the logs. Come on. Nope. Nope. Nope.
I'm gonna try to paddle this one away from those logs, out of the danger zone, out to the middle of the river. It appears to be another beefy bronzeback. He's putting up a good fight. At least they know when it's time to fight. Yes, sir, that's a good one right there. Yes, indeed. He's got that fly, jumped right into the net. He's got that fly way down there. He hit that hard. Nice one. Nice smallmouth. Swallowed it all the way down. Yes, indeed. I feel certification is imminent. There we are. Another quality bronzeback. And he is pretty much good to go. And ready to go as well. A lot of suckers, as I mentioned. We saw some eagle and osprey. There's one of the eagles. So a lot of food for them there. Now, here there was some construction going on at the dam, and didn't really hold out much hope for a bunch of fish there. But I did get a walleye on the fly there, a decent sized one. So can't complain about that. It was right in the corner where the still water, where that fast moving water is coming out, and the still water sits right next to it. So a decent walleye. Now, in my younger days, I would have just charged right into those standing waves and rode the lightning. Well, I'm too old and my back is too messed up to do that sort of thing now. I'll tell you the story of the time I went over the Camp Comfort Dam. Now, I had gone through in a couple different places, kind of nibbling at the edges, but there was one place where it drops very steeply down into a plunge pool, and then just as sharply it rises back up again. The distance between the plunge and the first standing wave is less than the length of my kayak. It drops right down and then right back up. So eventually I lined that spot up and started heading for it, and you could hear children on the bank and stuff like, "Daddy, what does foolhardy mean?" "Keep watching, kid, you're about to find out." And so I went down, and the front of the kayak hit that first standing wave, and it felt to me like it was going to flip me over on my back, but it just threw the front of the kayak way up in the air. I didn't flip over on my back, but instead the nose of the kayak came slowly down, but then faster and faster, and eventually it just crashed right into the second standing wave. And the second standing wave, I just went right into it. The water came over the top of the kayak, just smacked me back, laid me out back on the back of the kayak, just like a body blow from Mike Tyson or something. And water just running out of my nose and mouth and everything, and ears ringing, the whole the whole 9 yards. There's a fine line between stupid and brave. And well, plenty of times I've been about 2 clicks to the wrong side of that line. But you can see that I've gotten wiser in my old age, and now I'm not going to charge into those standing waves. We'll just ride along beside them and tell a story. Now this is a different river. You can see the algae bloom pretty bad up here. This used to be one of my favorite river sections to fish. The rocks were really cleanly swept and everything, but it really changed. There was some flooding and so forth that happened, and a bunch of silt washed in. Here you can see how much silt is stirring up off the bottom, and the algae bloom and so forth. I did get a walleye there, but I don't think I'll certify this one. It just, I really feel sorry for it more than anything, and for the condition of the river. Now, as not to end on a sad note, let's return to our art project. The lettering and the sky have been completed, and now you can see that I've added some elements to the background. Now, I've taken quite a bit of artistic license here. You can't actually see the Cibola Savannah Bridge from Spring Lake or the Palisades, but those are important elements to the general vibe of the area, as well as a famous biker bar that's just south of the town of Savannah as well, that it's kind of depicted in the background. And this is the old Cibola Savannah Bridge. It has since been, or at least as I recall it, it has since been destroyed and replaced with a concrete bridge, modern concrete bridge, but it was a narrow steel arch bridge that spanned the main channel of the Mississippi River between the island town of Cibola, Iowa, and Savannah, Illinois. It was narrow, it was rickety, it seemed like you could fall off it quite easily, and it arched like way high up in the sky, or up in the air above the river, so you were a long ways up. It was quite a rush, the old bridge.